So you've determined that a diet is in fact the way for you to go? Well, I just ask you to watch this video first. I am here for you, Christian ladies that are just kind of stuck in that cultural ideal of what your body's supposed to look like and all the diets you're supposed to be on, and that little nagging thing in your head that keeps you preoccupied with these things. So, in the last podcast, I asked you to kind of go through some mental and writing exercises to determine whether or not a diet was really the right choice for you. And I hope it got you thinking. It may have helped you to realize that maybe a diet would not be a long-term sustainable solution for you. But even if you went through all of those exercises and determined that you still want a diet, that yes, you could do it sustainably, or even if you thought, okay, dieting probably isn't the best solution for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, fair enough. You're in a safe space here. I got you. I just ask that you consider the points that I'm going to make today to help you in this journey, to help prevent the backlash that normally comes with these restrictive diet plans, and probably the backlash that you've had from every other diet that you've tried. I ask you maybe even to commit to doing these things I'm going to suggest before you even start that diet. Okay. Now, I'm assuming that you, like me, are not doing this for the first time, that you've had quite the history of dieting like I have, and that none of them have had long-term success. And that's really because you wouldn't be trying the next one if any of them had worked long-term, right? Right. So in my history, not only would I gain the weight back over time, sometimes it didn't even take that long, but I often would gain even more than I started with. And if that's happened to you, then you know the mental anguish, the body hatred that comes from that, the preoccupation that just continues to grow each time we do this. And for me, I got to the point where I would be termed a disordered eater, and you may be too. Now, don't be too scared by that term. It doesn't necessarily mean a bona fide eating disorder. It just means a very unhealthy, unnatural relationship with food. And so at least if you are determined to diet, then let's set you up for possibly not getting that backlash. Let's set you up for the best outcome possible. So here are just 3 things for you to commit to before you ever start that next diet. Number 1, before you start that next diet, no matter what it is, whether you're ready to start it tomorrow or not, before you even begin, I ask that you decide when you're stopping it. When you're stopping it. Like I challenged you to consider the last time, there are some things that you think maybe you can live with, but in the long run, they're just not natural enough for you to sustain. Or else you would have been doing that already in your life, right? If they were natural, you wouldn't need someone else telling you what to do in that department. So I want you to make the commitment and decide right now before you start when you're coming off of it. And that will help you to realize that A, this isn't a long-term strategy. And B, it's not meant to be a long-term strategy. Diets are meant to be temporary. They're extreme, they're undernourishing, that's the purpose of them, and they're not usually sustainable. It's the rare person who can live like that forever. And really, do we want to? I don't. So the first step, again, if you're thinking that I am definitely going to try this diet, determine and commit to when you will stop. Number 2, I would love for you to decide before you ever start that diet how you're coming off the diet. So you've already determined when you're coming off the diet plan, and now I want you to determine and commit to how you will come off that diet plan. Are you just going to come off of it in a stepwise fashion, giving up one rule at a time and testing that? Are you going to cold turkey it? Are you kind of just seeing yourself rolling off of it, waking up one day and ignoring it? I want you to have more of a determined plan of how you're stopping that extreme method of eating, how you're stopping those extreme restrictive rules. How will you stop? Because we all have had the history of going off a diet and then binging on all the things we couldn't eat while we were on the diet, right? So we want to prevent that as much as possible, which leads me to number 3. During the time that you're dieting, most people are only focused on keeping the rules. It's almost a full-time job. It was for me. They're extremely focused on logging and tracking and calorie counting and following every food rule and eliminating this food or this ingredient or whatever the diet fad is at that moment. Well, I want you to take a different approach. Yes, I know it takes a little bit of effort and it takes energy to learn the diet plan. Of course, I would expect that. That will consume your mind and your efforts in the beginning for sure. But I want you to take the majority of the time that you are doing that whole diet plan, the majority of time that you're dieting, learning how to develop lasting lifestyle healthy habits in nutrition, in activity, in sleep, in dealing with stress, all of those things, so that you're not wasting those weeks or months in this diet plan and then just stopping cold turkey with nowhere to go, with no direction and no benefit that lasts. How will you eat after that when there's no restrictive rules? Realize that when you come off of somebody else's rules, somebody else telling you what to eat and how to eat and when to eat, now suddenly it's all up to you. That's pretty scary, right? With no direction. We like rules. We like restrictions because we don't have to think and figure things out. If you haven't spent that time educating yourself and planning for that, you just kind of roll off of it like a tumbleweed, you're going to have a backlash because now you won't have any guidelines, and those were the things you were relying on. So let's review all of this. First, I want you to commit to deciding how long you're going to diet. And if you say, I'm just going to do it forever, it's probably not realistic. Maybe go back and watch the last video. Number 2, how are you coming off of it? I want you to picture that. The chances are you will be coming off of it, and probably sooner than you think. And so what is your plan for how you're going to come off of that? Hopefully, your plan includes number 3, that during the time you're doing these things, that you're learning about true nutrition information and what is true and what is a myth. I know that's tricky. I'm here to help you. And how are you going to start developing lifestyle habits that you can live with over time? All right, so now a little project for you to implement this. Implementation is really important. It's good to listen and learn, but when you start doing the activity yourself, you're really chewing on it, you're thinking things through, and it's much more beneficial. So I'm going to try and give you projects whenever I can. So here's your little project for this video. Go ahead and get out your calendar. And I literally want you to write your start date of when you're starting this magical diet. And even if you say, I can do this for 3 months, then pick a date at 3 months and write that on your calendar. So your plan to do it for 3 months, write down the stop date on your calendar. Then what I want you to do is I want you to leave that first month alone, because of course you're going to be learning all the diet rules and practicing them, and that's really hard to do. But for the rest of that time that you're going to be practicing this diet, I'm asking you to start educating yourself and learning and developing healthy habits that you can live with, so that when you stop that diet, you're not just tumbling off into the wind, into binge eating, into despair, because you haven't learned how to regulate and make decisions for yourself as to how you eat, instead of just following someone else's rules, which is what a diet plan is. So learning how to live in a sustainable, healthy way, we've got to deal with the mind and the heart and the underlying issues that cause things like a preoccupation with having to be thinner, with not liking your weight, with not liking your body shape, maybe even preoccupation with food itself that you're trying to control with dieting. If you need help with this, of course, subscribe to this channel. That's what this channel is all about, to learn how to live in a healthy, non-obsessed way, in a way that takes into consideration not just your physical health, because that comes and goes throughout life. Quite frankly, there are seasons in life, and it's far less important to the eternal things, to your spiritual health, to your soul health. So we take a whole person approach to health for the Christian here. In the meantime, if you are too afraid to give up the tool of dieting, at least consider these points I've made today. Make some commitments so that you don't roll off into the backlash when the diet inevitably ends. So like and share this video if you have found it valuable, if you have found it helpful. I love to see your comments, your suggestions, your questions for future videos, and subscribe to the channel so you can be alerted to every new video, and I'll see you next time.